Uh, Hi, good morning. This is Srinivasan here. I'm the CTO of Unvired, and I'll be taking you through the webinar today, where we're trying to focus on the chatbots, but with a specific focus on ITSM and how to enhance your help desk experience for either employees or partners or others who work with your teams. And the system in focus is going to be ServiceNow. And we will try and do this using Slack as a channel of access to kind of see how disparate systems can be brought together in a chat scenario. Feel free to stop me in case you have any questions, and I'll try and answer them as we go through the slides. So the agenda we've lined up is to basically give you a quick overview, and then we'll really look at the help desk, what's the problem and that we are trying to address, and what are the possible solutions within that scope. We will then look at how the specific help desk assistant that Chyme has built will help and solve some of these standard, or let's say very common use cases. We'll also look at a success story, so I can explain how some of our customers have used it and benefited from it. And then we'll spend a lot more time on a demo where we will do some standard use cases using Slack and ServiceNow as a system of record. And of course, I'm happy to take any of your questions and answer them as we go along. Or at the end, we can have a quick Q&A round. So Unvired started as a mobile apps company. We're headquartered in Houston, Texas, with a development center in Bangalore. The markets of focus are primarily North America and South Africa, Australia. We have had multiple products that we have launched in the course of our life, and of late, we're focusing specifically on what's now more commonly called as multi-experience development platforms. So basically a common platform that can allow you to mobilize your business processes, build specific applications where they make sense, and use the same platform to build chatbots and roll out faster use cases for either your end customers or employees to harness. And as part of that, of course, the applications do work with wearables like your Apple Watch, etc. So it's a single platform that gives you a rounded experience across devices and across user channels of access. Notable mentions, recently we got certified by SAP for integration with SAP S/4HANA, one of the few companies who've done that. And then we've had mention in Gartner reports earlier for rapid mobile development. We've been featured in multiple analyst reports in terms of the impact that we can have with chatbots and how Chyme projects that. In terms of partnerships, we are, like I said, an SAP partner. We also partner with a bunch of other technology solution companies in terms of either mobilizing or chat enabling these systems. Companies like IBM and Spark from Cisco as a channel of choice. So what's really Chyme? Let me spend a minute on this. We're basically an enterprise bots platform. So when I talk about enterprise bots platform, I just want to mention here that this does not exclude use cases that maybe your end customers who might number in the thousands want to use. What we are specifically mentioning enterprise bots is that we are extremely good when it comes to integrating with enterprise systems such as an SAP or a ServiceNow or a SharePoint, for example, as your systems of record. So we're not talking about maybe putting together a Slack with a GitHub, kind of an integration where maybe you can check what your commits are or get notified when someone triggers a bell. Of course, you can do that. But we're looking at more deeper use cases where you can access data embedded deep in enterprise systems, which typically have more difficult user interfaces that people need to get accustomed to. Omni-channel, like I mentioned, we integrate with various chat platforms and their clients. The goal being, while Chyme itself has a Chyme Messenger, which is available on the web, on Android and on iOS, we do understand that customers would have already rolled out their messaging platforms and would not want to work with a new client just for the sake of rolling out bots for their employees or users, but would want to utilize the platforms that they've already deployed. So we work well with Skype, with Facebook Messenger, with Work Chat within the enterprise from Facebook, Google Assistant, which is also voice enabled, and of course Slack, which is what we're going to see today. Lastly, like many others, we're also powered with built-in NLP to handle conversations in a more natural text or natural way of messaging, rather than having to work through specific lingo. There's also machine learning and AI in the back end, so we will look a little deeper into that as we go along, but that helps you record the users and what they're working on, what are the things that are the most effective, and where is it that the system is failing so that you can train it and work on it better. Differentiators, I already touched upon many of these. So like I said, natural language enabled conversations. The real strength of the system, the platform, is the integration we have with basically any enterprise system in the world. So we natively integrate with SAP. So when I say natively, what I mean is any functionality in SAP that's existing today, you can chat enable that. We work well with Salesforce, with Microsoft, SharePoint, or other systems. And of course, ITSM software like ServiceNow, Zendesk, etc. Any assistant or any chatbot that you build in Chyme is automatically enabled on any of the messengers that we support. The same conversation is available on any access point that you would want to choose without you having to make any further changes. So basically you build the bot once or the assistant once and just enable it on any messenger of choice. The big ones we support, of course, are Facebook Messenger from a consumer standpoint, Work Chat, if typically enterprises have rolled that out or using it. The others are, of course, Slack. We also support ServiceNow's own messaging, which is called as Connect. Google Assistant is another big one, which is also voice enabled, being used by a couple of customers, and Cisco Spark. We're also adding more messengers as we talk. So anything that a customer feels would offer a better channel or a better experience is something that we are open to evaluating and adding to the list of supported messengers. A brief look at the architecture. So you have the assistants are available on the messengers on the left side. Like I said, Chyme provides its own native messenger, and then you have a bunch of others. You could also be potentially accessing this via emails or, for example, SMS. On the right-hand side at the end, you have the enterprise systems, which are the systems of record, which is where we basically either accessing and fetching data from or recording transactions that are being performed by your users. The platform itself is designed to scale. So we have a messaging front end, which basically uses the scalability of Node.js and MongoDB to handle rapid messaging interactions from the users. Conversations are very well suited to non-structured.
Yeah, could you, if you don't mind, grab something for Hernan and I, because I know it's you.
And then you have the bots engine, which basically interfaces. Hang on, let me try and mute.
Larry, you got lunch?
Yeah, I got something. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry for that. Yeah. So what I was saying was the second part of the Chyme architecture is the bots engine, which handles the actual interaction with the enterprise systems. So be it SAP or Salesforce. So provides automatic data push to your devices so you can actually access real-time notifications. There's a web app and a monitoring console that would help your administrators and bot developers to monitor how well the system is functioning and look into conversations and figure out edge cases, etc. The bot connectors allow you to talk to any of these systems, like I said, in a standard fashion. And of course, we have a runtime where you could have any of your bots handling custom functionalities. So when I say that, what I mean is Chyme by default provides you standard assistance like the Helpdesk. But if that doesn't work for you, is not complete, you can go ahead and then just copy that and then customize it and then redeploy it so that it works specific to your use case. To support all this and to make sure that your team is able to build its own bots and deploy them, we have a conversation on the bots builder, which is available for all Chyme customers to build and deploy their own bots. Overall, the system is scalable across both cloud and on-premise. So if you're happy with accessing the infrastructure from the cloud, be it a private cloud instance set up for your specific usage, or you could also be accessing it from a public cloud, or if for security or other policy reasons you want to run that on-premise, we do support the same infrastructure within that. So deployment-wise, there are multiple choices in terms of how you would want to consume the Chyme messaging platform. So when we talk about Helpdesk, what's the specific problem or solution we are addressing? I'm sure most of you are aware of the slide that I've put up, where what we're trying to do is to really address the large number of repetitive use cases that typically your help desk personnel might be working on, which includes things like a user account is locked out, or maybe they've forgotten their password, or they want to figure out how to access a VPN or how to configure that. So these are repetitive incidents that can be handled reasonably well with automation using bots. And then, of course, you have a smaller number of medium to complex incidents which can also be handled. These are specific things that could be done for your use case or for your consumption. And then a few complex incidents where you might want to work directly with human agents because it's not possible, for example, for the bot to handle. Our focus is really to start with a large number of repetitive incidents. And here we are looking at use cases, like I mentioned, like unlocking accounts, resetting passwords, allowing people to search for a knowledge base, suggesting articles that are not part of the knowledge base so that you can go ahead and then add them. When people figure out that they've not been able to get help from the system, then report an incident automatically, so on and so forth. Right? This is really the focus of the Helpdesk Assistant, and that's also what I'm going to show during the demo. I went into this briefly in terms of what the use cases are. So one of the beauties of the Helpdesk Assistant is that it enables self-service. By self-service, what happens is that people, instead of having to rely on calling somebody else or maybe having to log into a system and raise a ticket or send an email or things like that, can actually access a self-service mechanism via a chatbot. So this could be happening from their phone using mobile messengers, or it could be on their desktop, either using a web chat or maybe the Chyme Messenger or any of the other messengers which are available on the web, and performing actions that they had to typically call and wait upon other people. So you can really enable the team or the personnel to basically get that done by their own. So not just that it reduces, personnel or the help desk or costs, etc. It just puts that much more power in people's hands to basically do things in a simpler fashion at their own convenience. The second part where it's extremely helpful is, like I said, in terms of alerting. So if let's say there are system alerts or maybe you want to get notified when, I don't know, when a very high priority incident gets created, so you don't need to proactively keep logging into the system and looking at it, but the information just gets pushed to you and you just have to react to that. So that's an extremely powerful use case when it comes to automation on chatbots using alerting mechanisms. Provide access to knowledge base to answer queries from users. So this can be either, a simple database where you have your list of questions and answers, or it could be that you could also use a system like, for example, Microsoft Azure's Q&A service, which allows you to actually train the questions and answers so that based on user experience, the answers you serve keep getting better and better. You could also use the same, like I said, to add further to the knowledge base. Issue management, allow your team of Helpdesk personnel to actually update and create new incidents, check for alerts on urgent topics, etc. And the same can also be escalated to the management by means of alerting. So you could be looking at, I don't know, critical dashboards, SLAs that are breached, and then just alert people that, hey, there's something wrong here and might require attention. Something I've been through before, like I said, can be cloud, can be on-prem, work with any system. And of course, we have out-of-the-box integration with Slack, which is what we're going to show today, in addition to all the other chat messengers that we support. The system is completely secure, data is encrypted, and really built for usage within an enterprise, and comes with built-in support for languages, so you can actually have your chatbots in non-English language. You can also have automatic sentiment analysis built in, and of course statistics in terms of usage patterns. What are the bots which are the most effective? What's not working? What are people using? What they aren't, etc. Briefly, let me touch upon one of the customer success stories before I jump into the demo and a Q&A. So one of our customers basically built a chatbot for insurance industry. So this was something where the pain point was primarily for people to be looking at a conversational interface for both agents who are providing the support and end users who are seeking support to automate things like reset password. And this was on their SAP system and on the ADS, where it was specifically needed. Knowledge-based search. So they had an internal FAQ, which we enabled for search and powered that by Elasticsearch. And of course, out-of-the-box integration with ServiceNow, because MFX uses ServiceNow internally and also runs it as a help desk for their customers. So this was a solution which was enabled for MFX to start with and potentially roll out to their customers within the industry of insurance. And had some good experience in terms of the number of incidents that were handled specifically with something as simple as a resetting of a password was something that just dramatically went down in terms of people having to step in and do that, because the bot was able to handle most of those calls. Knowledge-based search was the second most used feature within the bot. And most important in terms of a benefit was that there was no really time limit for people to be able to do this. It was 24/7 available around the clock. Anybody who had a problem just had to use an alternate messenger rather than rely on their enterprise creds and go ahead and then get their job done for them. So at this moment, I want to step into a demo. So we are looking at ServiceNow, like I said, as the system of record, and Slack as a channel of access. So what I've done is we've got an IT help desk assistant, which has been added to my Slack channel. So you see that I've been working with it. So you see some earlier conversations. But anyway, let's go ahead and then start with something. So users can typically start it with any keyword, similar to maybe an OK Google or Hey Siri. So you could have any keyword or call word that you want to use to trigger. Simplest, of course, being help. what I'm going to demonstrate is that, I want to connect to my SAP system. And what I realize as I type in is that I've kind of forgotten my password. Now, instead of calling up an administrator, what I can very easily do is use the chat interface to basically request a reset of my password. Now, the way the system is configured in this case is that we have two systems where we support this. I'm going to go ahead and choose SAP. If you have multiple SAP systems, you could actually have a further menu in terms of which particular system you want to choose. For this demo, we kind of have it configured that it's going to be my ERP system. And I go in and put in my user ID. So at the background, what's also checked is if I really have access to this user, so I can't really, as an end user, go ahead and then request for resetting somebody else's password. But this is something that the system determines based on my credentials on the Chyme platform, that this is something that I have access to, and I can therefore go ahead and then reset it. So here's the password that's been sent to me via email after the reset. Sorry for that. I can go ahead now, copy paste it, and you see that the password has been reset, ask me for a new password, so I can go ahead and then enter a new password and then go ahead. So that's something really powerful that we feel has benefited a lot of users and companies in terms of being able to very simply allow end users to be able to reset passwords for systems that are configured. You could also use the unlock user if you have an AD account which is locked out, can be unlocked again based on associated users and emails, etc. So that was the first thing I wanted to share. The next I want to do is basically, I want to do a free search within the FAQ that we have in ServiceNow. So let's say, for example, my VPN is not working. Something that we typically face in our day-to-day work as remote users within the Office network. So what happens is now we have FAQs that are configured in the ServiceNow system, and the system then goes ahead and then performs a search based on all the articles that are available, and then ranks them according to how users have indicated that the particular article has actually helped them solve an issue or did not. So it gets automatically ranked, and based on that, it gives me a first option wherein it tells me how to configure VPNs for Apple devices. Now, this was not what I was looking for. Then I could go ahead and then just say, give me the next article. So we typically have 2 or 3 articles that we show, because beyond that, it doesn't make sense to offer any further articles for users to go through, because it can be a frustrating experience. So assuming that this thing worked for me in terms of, okay, the connection was failing and I need to make sure that the connection is active, my VPN is disconnected, try and access a website, blah, blah, blah. So this thing works. So I can go ahead and then say that it solved the issue for me. On the other hand, if I find that it has not, and I still don't have an answer, I can just go ahead and hit the did not solve button. And the system now prompts me as to whether it wants me to create an incident. The advantage is that the user doesn't need to worry about reporting an issue, but is being proactively asked, okay, do you want me to report this so that somebody else can actually get in touch with you and help you? So I'm going to say, go ahead, create the incident. So guesses the description based on what I had typed in before in the conversation. And then would go ahead and then, sorry, as expected, something goes wrong in the demo. So let me do something here. Use the master reset to get out of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and just say I want to report a problem. And picks up the earlier context in terms of what I was working on. So I'm going to now continue and say, yes, the description is that the VPN was not working, and I want to go ahead and then create the incident now. So the bot now goes ahead, knows that the system of choice is ServiceNow, uses the built-in credentials to basically create the incident. And since I'm also an agent in this particular demo, it gives me further options as to what else I can do with the incident. But before that, I'm going to copy the incident number, switch to my ServiceNow system, and check on the incident. So what you can see is that the incident has been created, has not been assigned to anyone yet except the service tech group, has the description, and also captures the entire chat transcript here of all of my activity that's happened so far. So the capture of the chat transcript is simply because a help desk person who looks into the issue would then be able to actually associate and relate to the problem so that it becomes easier for them to help you and provide a solution. So I'm just going to say it doesn't work on my Mac, so the system goes ahead and just adds the note. And once that's done, it's going to give me a confirmation. So I'm just going to go ahead and then refresh this incident so we can actually see how the note has been added. So this is something that can be, this was a note I just recently added, comes up as additional comments. And what can also be done is, in the interest of time, I think I will not show that right now, but if anybody who's working on the incident also goes ahead and then does any updates on the incident, or provides a resolution and then closes the incident, it would also get recorded and an alert sent to the user in terms of the status of that particular incident to say that, hey, your issue has been solved and you can now go ahead and let me just get the screen. Go ahead and then try the solution or use your system or connect to your VPN, etc. What is also done is, let me go back to the password reset that we attempted. Let me just scroll up. Okay. So what was also done for audit purpose when my password was reset so that the company can actually check that. An incident is automatically created and then closed to say that a reset of the password was done for this particular user at this time based on their request. So it also provides you an audit trail of what was done. So that's some of the things that I wanted to show from Slack with ServiceNow and see how you can actually enable some of these processes. So I'm going to stop now and then, open it up for any questions that any of you might have. I'm happy to answer them. Okay. That looks like either my chat was damn good, the webinar was extremely clear, or that there are no questions at this moment. So Alok, do you think you want to add anything further to what I've been speaking about, or?
Yeah, hey, Srini, there is a chat question.
Okay.
What if your Skype for business is just internal? Can you look at the chat?
Sorry, I wasn't looking at that. My bad. Just give me a moment. Okay. Skype for Business is supported both with the Office 365 version, and if you're still using Link as an on-premise solution, we do support that also. So you can go ahead and then use any of the Skype consumer or the Office offerings. In terms of Microsoft Teams, this is something which is currently under development and should be available within the next couple of months. The most requests we get, by the way, just as a matter of information, is Skype and Slack. They seem to be the most interesting or preferred models for some of the customers we've been working with. The other is web chat because it just allows you to access the chats from any page or any web application that you might have. Just as a matter of interest to also add that the web chat is also something that's available with Android and iOS native applications. So we do have an SDK. So if you want to add, for example, a support channel into one of your applications that your consumers or customers are using, you could also use it in that fashion.
Great. And so Srini, let me just add here. So as we mentioned, it's really an omni-channel solution. So if you have any messenger, we can integrate with that, Microsoft Teams or anyone else. That's not an issue at all. And also, let me remind all attendees here that we are offering a free POC for everybody who's attended the webinar today. So if we are happy to define the scope of a POC and actually show you how it would work on your messaging platform with your backend system. So we're happy to do that. So you can email us, if you are interested, and also you will be getting a recording of the webinar, so we'll email a link to you. Let's see, any other questions? So if there are no other questions, then I guess we would like to thank, yeah, go ahead. Any questions? No, Srini, I think we can close the webinar. Do you want
Sure.
to?
No, nothing more from my end. It was
ahead.
a pleasure speaking to all of you. Like Alok mentioned, we're happy to help you in your chat journey. Just let us know and avail if you want to avail of the free POC, and we'd be happy to help you there. Thanks a lot for your time, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.